What is your relationship with money? You hear that a lot, don't you? You maybe read it in a book and you're like, what do you mean my relationship with money? I earn it, I spend it, I save it. What do you mean my relationship with money? So, what I'm bringing to you here today is another expert speaker, someone who will give us an insight into how our relationship with money affects what we do with our money. Of course, you're here listening to the Money Honey podcast, which is a show that is obviously going to highlight and talk a lot about money. This is a show that highlights the importance of money and what to do with it, because I spend a lot of my time at work and in personal life with people in property, in finance, and in construction. So money is at the heart of that and of everything that we do. So we need to understand it better. We need to have a better relationship with it, because otherwise, why are we getting up in the morning and what are we doing every single day, all day? As I've mentioned in other episodes as well, we don't get taught about money in schools, and then we grow up one day as these big grown children with money in their pockets, and we spend half our lives either chasing money or spending money or wasting money or trying to save it so hard that we forget how to live. So I don't know what your relationship with money is. Maybe I don't even know what my relationship with money is, and I might discover it on today's call. But once again, I just would like to welcome you back to listening to the Money Honey Show with me, your host, Rosalia Lazara Tilly. And I created this show, and it's it's entering the second year. So we were a year old in December, and we interviewed over 60 women that year in the property space, finance, or construction. And I started it because being a woman in all of those three industries that I've been in and continue to work in, we're still hugely underrepresented. Okay, so I know that there are, the modern talk these days is like, we don't need to make it gender specific. I get it. We don't need to do that. But because we still haven't gained enough equity, we still do need to bang that drum. So this is a safe space for women in these sectors to come together, empower one another, share valuable insights, share information about what it is that they're doing in the industry and how they're helping themselves and the people around them. And also just to really celebrate the talent that we've got in these industries that are so-called male trades, right? So let's abolish that stereotype, and let's show what we really truly are made of in this industry. So today's guest is the lovely Lesley Thomas, who is the founder of the Money Competence Academy, and she's also a podcast host of Let's Talk Money and More. And as an accredited money and mindset coach with a master's in coaching and mentoring, Lesley supports wildly ambitious female business owners. Okay, so this is why she's a money honey. This is why she's on the Money Honey Show, because for all you female listeners who are wildly ambitious, you need to consider about developing that powerful relationship with money and get out of your own way and become your own financial cheerleader, as she puts it. She is also a passionate advocate for financial literacy in schools, which I do too. As you know, if you follow me, you know how much I spend time in schools, even for free volunteering, helping the next generation learn about budgeting, mortgages, spending, earning, business. Do I go business or do I get a job? How do I make my pocket money work for me? So all of this stuff is the stuff that I love to talk about. So I'm delighted to bring on the show someone who also shares the same passion as me. So she's actually developed a program for schools and home education that combines practicalities of money and mindset, which I'd love to learn more about, because if there's anything I can do there to help, I'd love to get involved, because I too am trying to build something, platform or some sort of program that is beyond just me being in the room. So I want to really make a wider, larger impact across the UK and beyond. So without further ado, I think it's time to bring in the expert, Lesley Thomas. How you doing, Lesley?
Hi there, Rosalia. How are you? I am really, really excited for this conversation because not many people are comfortable having a conversation about money. So this is going to be brilliant, hopefully, for your listeners hearing us talking
Excellent.
about one of
That's
our
it. We've
favourite
got to
topics.
normalize money. You know, I will tell you something quite like straight off the bat. Like, we've only just met each other, and often that happens on this show where I've never met a guest before until we actually get talking. But I'll share one thing with you that I do with money, and then I'd love to know about you and dive into that a little bit deeper. But given that we are in the UK, but I am from Italian descent and I was born in Italy, something that I noticed that I do that not many other people do, even just not looking too far beyond my small circle, my husband, right? Very, very different the way him and his family talk or actually not talk about money, and we do. So, for example, in our household, I know what's in my grandmother's will. I know what my mum and dad's will is. I know what our finances are, how we, I know if my brother needed to borrow some money. I know if I needed something, my mum would be like, look, Ange, I've just helped your sister with XYZ. Or even when it was like for my wedding, it was like my mum was like, right, this money I'm giving to you for your wedding. I'm going to tell Angelo, your brother, that I did that so that he knows. So we're very like money on the table. Everyone, let's just get it out there, open and honest. So that's where I'm coming from with my relationship with money. So I'd like that to be a nice segue into what it is that you do for people like me or for business owners and who you are.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a really good question because I think the British approach to talking about money is to not talk about money and to see money as being something that is rude to talk about, it's not polite to talk about, and it's something that we shy away from. It's never been anything that I have shied away from, but I am very aware that up until around about 2020, I had a very different approach to parenting than I do now. And that is as a result of reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad, because I was brought up work hard at school, go to university, get a job, and climb up the career ladder. And that's exactly what I did until my children were very, very small. And having a job up in London, living in Wiltshire, about 90 minutes away on the train, meant that I was constantly clock watching and not being present either as a mum, a wife, or an employee. So I decided to leave and to set up. Well, first of all, I decided to leave and I joined my husband in 2010 in the business that he has selling ski property in France and Switzerland. And then when I set up my coaching business in 2020, my plan was to be a confidence coach for business owners. I'd always coached and mentored, but informally. When I was working in my husband's business, I had lots of people, friends, ex-colleagues, come to me and ask how I'd made that transition from corporate to running my own business. So I decided that is what I was going to do. I was going to retrain as a business coach. But actually, the more I studied confidence, because I was going to be a confidence coach for women was the plan, the more I studied confidence, the more I saw the connection between self-worth and self-value. And then the whole subject of money came up. And that was my eureka moment because I'd never really thought about money as having any connection to how anybody felt about themselves, any connection to what worthiness somebody placed on themselves. But I think that was because I had a rock solid sense of confidence, thanks to my mum and how she brought me up. And that translated into my relationship with money because I am firmly of the belief that our relationship with money has nothing to do with money whatsoever, but everything to do with how we think and feel about ourselves. If we are confident and have self-confidence, then we will do all the things we need to do to create the kind of relationship we want to have with money, to believe in the art of the possible, to create success and wealth that sit comfortably with us and our values. And from there, we will take action no matter how uncomfortable it is taking some of that action, because we have confidence in our ability to create what we are creating.
Oh,
So hopefully that answered the
no,
question.
please take the stage. This is
way.
your moment. This is your opportunity to share with us your wisdom. People hear me talking all the time. They don't want to hear me. They want to hear you. So I wanted to really like switch up the conversation and go straight into pay rises, getting on the board, getting equal pay. How do we gain the confidence? Because let's face it, the women listening to this show are either already senior but underpaid, or they are middle to low management or entry level and don't know how to rank their way up the ladder, and start earning more. So how do we approach that subject of I need to be paid the same, or this is what I'm worth?
In exactly the same way that men do. Ask for it. And that is part of the problem. As women, we hold back and we wait for the ideal time. We hold back and we wait for the person who makes that decision to be, having had a good day or had a good piece of news, rather than actually standing our ground and having confidence in our value and in our worth and the role that we play in that organisation. So it absolutely is about being seen, being heard, and asking for what you believe is right, appropriate, and fair remuneration for what you do. And I think a large part of why women, and it's not only, but a large part of why women are in the position we are in when it comes to unfairness, the pay gap, etc., is because we put up with it. We are not prepared to stand up for who we are, what we do, the results that we financially help secure for our company, and instead we hold back. Men are much more confident at putting themselves forward, at actually selling themselves and asking for the pay rise, asking for the promotion. And very often it isn't based on the fact that they are the best for what they're going for. It's based on the fact they had the confidence to go and ask for it. So I think as women, we have got to remove the ickiness we feel about shining that spotlight on ourselves and actually demand to have the conversation, to lay out on the table why we believe it's fair and appropriate that a pay rise is considered. Absolutely, we have to listen, because there could well be a really, really good reason why at that point in time we can't get a pay rise, but it could be that we can negotiate some additional benefits in the meantime until certain economic factors for the company are aligned, and then we can ask for the pay rise. But I think our nature is to be more polite, is to be more reserved, rather than simply going, well, actually, I'm going to go in and I'm going to
I
go
love that. I
it.
mean, I made a massive clap at the beginning with excitement that you said, how do we approach the topic? Well, we do it just like men do it, which is just asking for it, because we're not brave. We've not been brave enough to do so. And if we have, and we've got that setback, we're like, oh no, oh there we go, that is proof that I'm not worth it, or that was proof that I did it wrong, or that's proof that I'm not entitled just as much as that man is, and we let that knockback actually knock us back. Now, I've just done a cheeky, because my preparation for today's call, I did a cheeky search on gov.uk. So the 2023 Gender Pay Gap Report states this, and this was absolutely astonishing. Jobs with the largest gender pay gap as follows. Number 1, real estate brokers and sales agents. Men get paid 60% more. And the second one, personal financial advisors. Men get paid 58% more. Insurance and sales agents, 55% more from men. And sales managers, 47%. I mean, in the top 3 or 4 of the biggest gender pay gaps in the UK are in the industry I'm in.
Yeah. Yeah. And it doesn't surprise me. It does not surprise me at all, because in my other business, that is real estate. And I can see by the nature of the people that work in real estate, it comes down to having balls. You have to have balls to be successful in the property selling business. And very often, women will retract back from that because it is a very male dominated environment. I was in that environment because it's our other business. I've pretty much come away from that business now and focus 100% on what I do. But that doesn't surprise me, but it really does disappoint me that how long have we talked about this subject for, and how much advancement has there been? There's been very little advancement. When it comes to female founders and female founders getting investment, that's actually gone backwards. So it hasn't even, improved slightly. It's actually got worse. And I think it's because we don't shout loud enough for long enough. And I think that is the problem. Lots of us will speak up, but as you said, when a no happens, we take that personally. They are not valuing me. They don't think I am worth it. Well, actually, it doesn't matter what they think. It matters what you think, and you go back in and you make the case again and again and again, or you make a decision that you're not going to put up with it, and that you are going to find an employer that does value what you do. Because there are companies that are positively discriminating in favour of women because they recognise the value that we bring, and therefore they want to pay and remunerate us appropriately. So I think it is a case of not giving up, to actually stand your ground, because very often men do play these mind games. I'll say no, she'll go away. And very often that's what we do. We go away. But if we don't go away, if we keep knocking on that door, a point will come where they will have to make a decision. She really is not worth it and she's going to leave. Or actually, she is worth it. We don't want her to leave. And therefore, we have to work out how to keep her. And I think that is where the conversation.
You're absolutely right, Lesley. I've been in that situation where I had the balls to go and ask. Okay, I did do that, and I didn't back down, and I stuck to my guns. Not that I've done that throughout my whole career. I've definitely done it late. I definitely did it slowly, even though I thought I was being ballsy. At the time, it was because I was doing it with the education and the confidence that I had at the time. But now looking back, I think, oh no, the new roles would have done it differently. So also, listening to this, be kind to yourself and understand that you're going through your own growth phase, whether you're male or female, to be honest with you, because 99% of my clients are men. And actually, they have a lot of low confidence, like low self-esteem, especially when it comes to putting themselves out on camera and on social media. But guess what? They do it scared. They do it anyway. They when they watch back the videos that I sent them, they're like, I gained a couple of pounds, but it just doesn't matter, Roz, just do it. Whereas we would abort the whole campaign, would be like disrupt, destroy, any evidence must be deleted, and we hold ourselves back from the lack of action, right? So I did that once where I went for a pay rise, and I said, look, I really don't want to play any games. I'm not going to say to you, I want this pay rise. But actually what I really mean is 3k less, and therefore you're going to counter offer me with. I was like, I actually am giving you my fair price of what I think I'm worth. Whereas a man, I reckon, would have probably gone in 5k more, probably got it and thought, yeah, mate, I got that. That was a bluff. Whereas I actually went in super honest, and I was like, this is what I want. I'm not going to give you, I'm not bluffing you and saying this is 3k more or 5k less. This is what I want, this is what I think I'm worth, and this is what I know I can get. They came back. What did they do? Counter offer me lower. And I said, I told you I wasn't playing games. In that case, I'm handing my notice in. I've got another job. Look at my job. So actually, I also think that women, for me especially, I'm like, let me down when I've been honest and I've given you my heart. you're out. Like, there is no second chances. And I don't know if that's a female trait or what, but I stood my ground and I was like, sorry, I did say I wasn't playing games. And actually, I do have another job for the exact salary that I asked. So I'm going to go.
And that takes confidence to do that. But that also reassures, it creates the evidence that
Yeah.
that is possible for you. And the more we can create the evidence of what is possible for us, the more we will do the things. We'll do them scared, but we'll do them anyway, because it's better to do it scared than to not do it at all. And I think that is kind of the metaphor for life, that we have to, and it's almost the message we have to instill in our children as well, that you are not going to be cocooned, that you have got to come out of that cocoon. You've got to recognize you're going to do things that scare you. You're going to recognize that you're going to do things that make you feel really, really uncomfortable. But when you've done them, you've got the evidence that behaving in that way, feeling that way, works for you, and that you can move forward time and time again, knowing I've got that feeling of feeling uncomfortable. It's okay. I know why I am doing it. And once you're connected to why you're doing something, not doing it is far
I love that,
scarier
Lesley.
than
That
doing
is
it
my
scared.
favourite highlight of the talk so far, is that confidence comes by doing the thing, number one. And secondly, not doing it is even scarier. It's like, okay, eating healthily and going to the gym and, putting all the hours into, looking after yourself is hard work, as in it takes a lot of investment, a lot of time. But try being ill.
Yeah.
How expensive and how hard would it be being poorly, being unable, busy, because you haven't looked after yourself? So you don't go to the gym because you feel great. You go to the gym to feel great, and you eat well because you need to, preserve your youth and your health. So it's in doing the thing that gets you the result and the confidence. So I love that, because that's exactly, I get that a lot from people who are like, oh, but it's all right for you, Roz. You can put yourself out there and do the podcast and the videos because you're confident. I'm like, no, I'm not. I wasn't just born with a microphone in my hand, even though my mum will tell you otherwise. I am doing the thing that makes you look like, that builds confidence. And, there's times when I've woken up like, oh my God, I've got to do like 8 hours today in the recording studio. I'm so tired. I don't want to put my makeup on. And then I get talks like you and other people that we've had on the show today. And I'm like, how dare I give up? Like, if I give up, how irresponsible of me to shut this down and not give people that platform and access to people like Lesley, right?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I think there's a misnomer that we should never strive, but I actually think we need to strive to thrive. And I think when we strive in the right way, then we can thrive even more greatly. And when you make that connection that I am striving so that I can be thriving, and I can be creating the evidence for other people that this is how you can thrive, then I think that really does give you wings, and it allows you to do the stuff that makes you feel heavy in the moment. It's a little bit like, right now we're in revision season for GCSEs and A levels. Both my boys are doing exams at the moment. And, they don't like revising at all. But I keep reminding them, how do you want to feel on results day? Focus on that. Focus on how you want to feel, because how you feel on results day is based on exactly what you are doing now. So almost take yourself out of the moment you're in and take yourself forward to where you want to be and how you want to be feeling. And that removes that sense of striving for the sake of striving, because actually
I
you're
love that.
striving to be
Striving
thriving.
to be thriving, guys. That is a one-liner and a half. I love that. That is like a tattoo. If I was to ever get a tattoo, which I don't have one, but that is a good one. Okay, so in the time that we have, I really just wanted to squeeze in there a bit of a chat around the stuff that you're doing in schools, because like I said in my intro, I'm hugely passionate about helping the next generation. I don't have kids of my own at the moment, but I always see it as, not because of my own children, but I see it as like my younger self and what my younger self would have appreciated, what I wish I'd heard, what I wish I'd seen. And it's kind of like a message to my younger self that reminds me just where I am. It kind of brings that back home. So I love working with students for that reason. And I really feel like it's important for them to relate to someone who has been through their journey. So what is it exactly that you do in schools?
So I was asked 4 years ago to start coaching in a school in Warminster on their financial literacy programme. They were one of very few schools that has a financial literacy programme. But I went that step further and combined financial literacy with mindset, because I don't believe by just giving teenagers facts around money, that is going to support them to be successful. Because if you don't have the right mindset, the belief you're going to be successful, you will discount that information. It's a little bit like doing your theory driving test, but not having the confidence to get in the car, take lessons and do your test. Or take a few lessons, but never go forward to take your test because you don't believe you're going to pass it. So for me, combining personal finance literacy with success mindset is the key to ensuring our children have the real belief that being financially successful is possible for them. Because I was horrified that a survey came out a few weeks ago. YouGov carried out the research. It was on behalf of Barnardo's. 54% of teenagers didn't believe they would be as financially stable as their parents were at 30. 19% can't sleep at night for worrying about money, and 9% feel hopeless about their future. And these children were aged 14 to 17. 9% feel hopeless about their financial future. That is on us. That is on the governments that respectively have not prioritised financial information, financial literacy in schools. And taking this a step further, this is absolutely about the children, but it is also about the economic stability of this country going forward, because a huge number of 16 to 34-year-olds are opting out of the labour market. They don't see the point. They don't want to work. They don't feel it pays to work. They might as well sign on to a life of benefits. And if that is the case, who is going to be paying for the benefits in years to come when everything's being taken out of the pot and not put into the pot? So I want to develop our next generation to really believe in what is possible for them. If they don't want to work for a company, absolutely fine, but become a business owner. Believe it is possible for you. Don't see it as being out of reach, because the most successful entrepreneurs started off from a position of usually not having very much money, but having an idea, deciding to follow the evidence, the inspiration of somebody else who was further along them on their journey. So what I'm doing with schools is providing that platform of information, but absolutely combining it with success mindset, and we're helping the teenagers to work on their mindset, because our internal conversation is either the most productive or the most destructive conversation we will ever have. And it's only when we realise that what is holding any of us back is the excuses we're making for ourselves to stay exactly where
I feel
we
so
are.
motivated right now. I feel energized. I feel like I want to just go out there and just talk to everyone all over again. It's actually the pep talk I needed today myself, if I'm honest with you, Lesley, because I am a business owner. I am an entrepreneur. I am doing it from scratch. I've done it with no investment, no capital, no savings, no credit card, like literally. And maybe I'm doing it the hard way. Maybe I'm just not asking for that next level, but I'm just doing it purely off the back of profit. I make a sale, save some money, reinvest it, and spend the rest. So, you know, I'm doing it my way, and I know I've got loads of value to share with. That's why I go into schools and say, look, guys, I did the get good grades because I was such a geek. I loved studying. I loved getting good grades, mostly because I was afraid of that failure. I was like you were saying, you know, on results day, I do not want to feel like I didn't try. I do not want to feel like I didn't put my all into it. So I got the good grades. I went to university. I got very good grades. I then got a job. I got a pay rise. Then I got another pay rise. Then I got another job. Then I got another. So I did the traditional route of trying to work my way up the ladder. And then every time you just realize your cash is going to tax and other expenses. And then just when I thought, you know, I'd mastered the employee journey, I got made redundant and lost my job. And that's why I go back to schools and say to them, what's your backup plan? What if that doesn't work out? What if you change and you grow out of your degree? Like, let's say because that can happen. I don't think teachers speak about that you won't want to be a physiotherapist for the rest of your life. You won't want to be a footballer and might not be a footballer ever in your life. I know they talk about that, you know, having backup plans, but, you know, it's given them that option, that inspiration of you do have everything you need to start a business, because most people who start it don't know what they're doing. Not, I didn't. I just worked it out. And I think some people, do you know what I mean? So actually we can all do it.
Absolutely.
Oh, this has been so fantastic. So just before you go, how can we engage with you, contact you, stay up to date with what you're doing?
I think probably the easiest way is via my website, which is themoneycompetenceacademy.com. There's loads of free resources on there. Or my podcast, which is Let's Talk Money and More, because I'm always talking about, you know, what's going on with our relationship with money, what's going on in the press to do with what they're talking about to do with money. But my website has all my social media handles and everything. So
perfect. I would definitely be heading there, Lesley, and we'll definitely be booking a private chat with you offline, because I think if you'll have me, there'll be ways in which we can maybe collaborate or talk about things, certainly ways in which I feel you might be able to help me. And yeah, who knows where this relationship might go, but worth exploring, because you've just been an absolute legend. Thank you so much for being on the show. Guys, if you've been... Thank you so much. And everyone listening, to new and existing followers and listeners, once again, in order for us to be the change, I've fluffed it up. Okay, you know what I want to say. In order for us to see the change, we have to be the change. Okay, so there's no point saying, oh, I want to see more women in finance, or we need to be paid equally, right? You've got to be that change. You can't just ask for the pioneers to do it and then suddenly your boss will knock on your door and say, hey, sorry, did you want that pay rise? Because there's loads of people asking for it and I've noticed you haven't. You're still not going to get it. You're still not going to grow your business. If you are not doing something about it, it's not going to happen for you. And if you are lacking the confidence or the courage or the know-how, I mean, I've brought someone to you that can exactly help you put that into action. There is no more excuses. I understand the fear. I understand the lack of confidence, but there is help out there. So it's down to us to use it, right? So I hope you've enjoyed this episode. And if you have, please give Lesley a follow. Share the episode if you found it useful for yourself. Maybe share it with colleagues or friends that you feel might need to hear this message today. And of course, don't forget to follow the channel. Don't forget to become an actual subscriber so you can get notified with new shows that keep coming out. So thanks once again. Thank you, Lesley.